That's because it's very good. That was in reference to the title.
That's life. That's life. That's what all the people say.
This is just to let you know that the show deals with pretty sensitive topics, so if you are uncomfortable with these kinds of things, feel free to click away from the video now.
I just saw the first episode, the pilot of The Politician. I have not gone through the rest of the episodes yet, but I have to talk about it. I have to. This show is created by Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk, the same creators, if you didn't know, of Glee, Scream Queens, American Horror Story, American Crime Story. After watching the pilot, I just had so many feelings, and I felt like the only way that I can erase or remove completely something unwanted or unpleasant. It's not unwanted or unpleasant, this feeling that I have for the show, but I do want to expunge it. So let's help me do that. And I don't know if I'm going to talk about the rest of the show as a whole, but let it be known that in this moment, I really like it. And should those feelings change in the future, so be it. But right now, deeply in the show, balls deep in the show. That is my current status and my philosophy in life and my new religion. I didn't also know that it was by Ryan Murphy. I will say this though, if you are familiar with his shows, this show in particular is not like those ones. I feel like the show does cater to a younger audience, obviously, but I do feel that there are other people of varying ages that will relate to this in a lot of ways, because there is a lot of commentary within the show, at least from episode 1 that I can see, that talks about politics, that talks about but more so the manipulative side of it. I took like 3 shots of soju and the 4th is coming, so cheers, motherfucker. Oh, you're tilted. You're drunk. It's okay. I'll take you home. So in the first episode, we're introduced to, I feel like I'm sweating, hold on. So in the first episode, you're introduced to, this is a sock, Ben Platt's character. His name is Peyton. He's applying to get into Harvard, and he's doing his little interview thing with the Dean Lawrence. And they're having this discussion about his hopes and his dreams. And our little boy Peyton here shoots pretty low, I would say, in terms of ambition. You know, he only wants to be the president of the United States.
I'm going to be president of the United States.
Throughout the scene, however, the dean is left a little bit unimpressed when it comes to his application and how Peyton is presenting himself. He starts to delve deeper, dig deeper. Oh, by the way, there are spoilers in this review. I think that's clear, but just for episode 1. We can all explore the show together later on. That said, later in the show, we will find out that Peyton has a lot of issues. He does liken himself to a sociopath in that all of his actions are very much dependent on what other people think and what it looks like from a third-party perspective, as opposed to what he finds is morally correct. This then brings us to one of, I kid you not, one of the best, what is this called? Like the intro part of the show where it gives credit to the cast and the director.
It's called the opening credits. You idiot.
At first, you're not really sure what's happening. It just looks like a collection of little knickknacks, and then you'll notice like a heart being covered in tar. And then later, he's being chiseled into this thing and then being covered by paint, and then he becomes Peyton. It's just beautiful. Talking about the pilot as a whole, say what you will about Ryan Murphy, that he's overrated or his work is like overhyped to a degree. The dude can write a fucking pilot. Like, the man can write a pilot. I can't fault him for that. Even with Glee. Glee that I didn't even enjoy that much in the long run. But Glee has one of the best pilots that I've ever seen. I remember seeing that pilot for the first time like a long time ago. Especially during the time that it did come out. Glee was so different. There was nothing like it. And then to this day, there are shows that have come out since that have followed in that example. There's a lot of parts about it too that are kind of foreshadowy. Like even before we meet the two brothers, you can see them here in this part of the intro. And they're being taken out of the family box.
You're great.
I've noticed every time we have sex, no matter what I do, you seem to really enjoy it. I don't know, I feel like maybe sometimes you're faking it.
How do I even begin to talk about River? You can't, but let me attempt. You know, one of the not necessarily dangerous things, but probably desired kind of currency in this world currently is like a handsome guy. Like a good-looking guy, a solidly good-looking guy. Let's not lie here. You get away with a lot if you're a good-looking guy. Even more so than that, what's more dangerous than that is a good-looking guy with feelings. Ladies and gentlemen, I present River. I forgot his last name, but this is River. We meet River in this scene. He had just woken up with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend is saying things like, hey babe, you were great last night. Then River's like, was I though? Or are you faking it? And she doesn't even hide it. Bitch is not even like, Astrid, that's the name of this girl. She's like, I mean, yeah, I am faking it, but like, there's no use for me to like beat down your confidence because you need to become a great man. And in order to become a great man, I gotta tell you that your dick is very much satisfactory for my sexy time. That's not exactly what she said, and that's also why I'm not a writer on this show. But after this scene, I'm thinking like, oh, okay, like River's a sad guy, I guess. Like he doesn't necessarily get what he wants. Also, he comes out of his room and no one's in the house. Like, is he always alone? Oh, I'm a rich, handsome guy. Why do I have to use this voice? It's necessary. Using this voice is integral. Oh, I'm a rich guy, good looking. I'm maybe popular at school, obviously because I'm good looking and I have a great body, but I'm sad. And you would think that, okay, maybe that's all that he is. But then he walks into his, I'm assuming it's his father's office, and then he picks up a gun. It's much of the spicy drama he knows, and I'm kind of here for it. When it comes to dramas, teen dramas, a lot of times what tends to happen is it gets into 13 Reasons Why territory, where things are too contrived. It's at a level of fantasy that is no longer realistic, the characters are unrelatable, and it's just written so poorly and executed even worse. Not only that, it becomes harmful to the viewers because it glorifies something that it was meant to prevent you from feeling. Have I made it clear yet that I don't like 13 Reasons Why? I was supposed to do a video about it before, about how like this show is gross and no one should watch it and support it because it keeps getting renewed for another season. And I'm like, why? This show is shit. It's shit. It fucking made Hannah out to be some sort of caricature of what a suicidal person is. Such a stupid fucking show. But I thought against it because those are my only opinions, and I don't want to make like a 30-minute video about how much I hate that, or should I? No, let's not revisit that idea. No. Because this show also deals with like similar themes of feeling lonely and isolated, and the person that you would least expect of these many characters to be at the central point of that is River. Right after River gets a hold of this gun, like he finally gets into the safe because no one pays any sort of attention to him, that he manages to just know his dad's code. Peyton drives in after what I'm gonna assume is like golf practice. He looks good though. Like Ben Platt, you fine. He walks into the house and he's like, the fuck bitch, you're running for president, you bitch. But what I love about this is the contrast between Peyton and River. River is sitting at the end of his dining hall table. He's sat there, he's quiet, he is calm, but he's so sad. Like this dude was about to shoot himself in the head, I would assume.
Please don't misunderstand. I am not laughing because I think people shooting themselves in the head is funny. There is nothing funny about that. I'm laughing here because this is a particularly uncomfortable subject matter for me to talk about. My default, for some reason, is to nervous laugh. And that's why. So, just a little bit about me and my stupid head.
Peyton comes in, the camera follows him throughout his pacing around the place, and it's just, I don't know, just the contrast between the camera movement. When it's focused on River, it has to be steady, whereas with Peyton, he explodes. There's a lot of movement whenever he's the one in focus. Like that, just that thing, just that whole thing. Okay, just all of that. Exclamation point. You know what sucks too? You know what's so painful? It's like when they start talking, in his haste, he threatens to ruin everything that River is about by threatening that he's going to tell everyone that they had sex, and that's just going to throw a wrench into all of River's plans of becoming this clean-cut president, and it's going to ruin him for life. Just the way that River deflates, the look on his face, the way he says Peyton's name.
Peyton.
And that's painful. That's painful to this character, and we'll find out why later on, because more is revealed. Like, so much happens in this one episode. I cannot wait to watch all of the other episodes. Let me get through this video, and then I'm gonna order some takeout and then watch the rest, because this fucking show, you own me now.
Do you believe racial epithets should be removed from
the debate scene? Oh my god. I saw this once. When I said that I just saw this episode, literally after watching the episode, 2 seconds later, turns on camera, creates this video. He does this, oh my god. And also, the performances, there's so many things.
students?
Well,
Did you see that? Let me replay that and show you that. Question is asked. It's like, freshman year, your epithets should be removed from Huckafan before students. This moment.
well,
That moment where he has to think about it first. That moment where, like, you can see in his head exactly what's going on. He's processing this like he's a fucking machine. He's processing this question. It's going through his entire system. It registers finally, an answer forms, and then he's ready. He lights up and he's like, okay. He makes eye contact as if to say, I'm ready to talk now. This is my answer. It's so, like, what? I love Peyton, by the way. Like, I talk about him this way, but I love him. I'm so invested in the show. Probably one of my favorite things about this scene is the way that River looks at him with such clear admiration. And fucking Peyton is standing here afraid to even acknowledge that. Evan? Maybe it's because the only person that actually ever saw Peyton understands him for who he is. I'm drunk. Understands him for who he is and still accepts him is River.
Should the school be able to limit the size of sugary drinks sold at St. Sebastian?
Also, I don't know if this could be me reading too much into things, but I want to note right now that the school is called St. Sebastian. I just want to point that out. We'll talk about that again later on in the show. But I would also venture to say that maybe one of the things that he is most insecure about when it comes to River is that River is so quick to feel things and can express himself so much better because he feels everything. Like, they're the complete opposite. Peyton is fearful that he feels nothing, and all he's ever done in his life is in accordance to what he thinks society expects of him. He sees what River does, what he looks like, and then what he does, and those actions don't match, and then it goes in his brain, but it doesn't compute.
After River basically bears his soul to the entire school,
The only thing that Peyton and his team were able to take from that was that shit, he's gonna win.
He's leading you in looks, charisma, and most importantly, authenticity.
Like, how detached are you from reality that that's the only thing that you took from that entire experience? Zoe Dutch's character, Zoe's character is probably my favorite character in the pilot. The way that her character is introduced and presented into this too, like, instantly you can't help but feel sorry for her. She's sick, she's going through chemo. Here's something too that we should have asked in the beginning. What kind of cancer? What stage? Where are you at with your chemo? Is it helping? Like, are you okay? Again, something that will later be further explained at the end of the episode. Then the queen finally arrives.
We'd like a table for two, please.
Infinity, by the way. That's the name of this character, Zoe Dutch's character. Her name is Infinity. The irony. She plays Infinity's grandmother. Horrible human being that kind of uses her granddaughter for perks. Pretty interesting character as well. I love her. I think she is crazy. But you know what it kind of reminds me of? The Gypsy story. You guys heard of that one? Like, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that there was some inspiration pulled from there. Both Peyton and River, at this point, I've realized with River, he's just like a fucking dancing monkey. He just goes along with whatever is happening. And yeah, you would think like, oh my god, that's so interesting. I would love to see finally a time in which he find the strength to be himself and to live his best life. And then he kills himself. The way that that scene was introduced too, like, it was juxtaposed with the scene in which Peyton and River first met each other. We find out that Gwyneth Paltrow, Peyton's mom, had hired River to be the Mandarin tutor for Peyton. And that's how they meet for the first time. They go to the same school, but they don't necessarily run in the same circles, obviously, because like, River is like popular dude, and then Peyton is like weird, interesting kid that likes Reagan. But they manage to relate to one another in Peyton's room when they start talking about if either of them are happy or not. And can I just say, like, the way that this scene is framed, the way that it looks, first you see them talking and they're at opposite ends of a chessboard. Maybe could be foreshadowing for when they become opponents later on to run for presidency, but it also represents who they were at that moment. Peyton views him as an opponent, and that's how he feels. He feels like he has to oppose this person, but instead what happens is that at the very first meeting, River manages to break down all of his walls without even doing a fucking thing. Like, he just exists. And then suddenly Peyton is this blubbering mess and he's sad. And then they have their first kiss and it's very sweet and it's so pure and cute. And then right after that is the scene after the fact, after the suicide. But Peyton can't even look. He can't even look at, like, as the body is being rolled out from the house and then being taken into the ambulance, he just walks away. There's also the scene right after the suicide too, and this is the introduction of the scene where Peyton and River first meet. But Saint Sebastian apparently is always incorporated into art, and the way that he is incorporated into art is he's a saint that has like a lot of arrows that are stuck into him because that's how he died. The two scenes back to back of River dying and River and Peyton meeting for the first time. The introduction of the latter scene is the two asshole brothers shooting arrows. I don't know. I just thought that was like an interesting little detail. I don't know if that was on purpose because maybe archery is like is archery a rich sport? I don't know. Is it like fencing? I instantly fell in love with the mom character. Gwyneth Paltrow's character is incredible. She is very much so, I feel like, the heart that Peyton never had. It says, Mom said something about how you can't really teach kindness. And I think to a degree that's true. But I think it's also interesting that she's saying that to her son, who is learning to be kind.
If there is one clip that I would recommend for you to watch from the pilot, it would probably be this scene. Unfortunately, I also can't really share it in full or at all because of copyright. Peyton is singing this wonderfully written song, and his voice is heartbreaking and gorgeous, and really, you should hear it for yourself. He pops off real hard.
And then he goes full force for Infinity, asks her to join his campaign, join his party, and obviously at first she's like, there's no fucking way. Our dear Lil Peyton, he talks about how he's not in a good place. No.
The truth is that I loved him. Oh my god, I loved him so much.
And he started crying and bawling, and it was a wonderful performance by Ben Platt. But then you see him walk out of that house. Again, just disconnected. Then he says into his phone,
We got her.
We got her. We got her. And in the beginning, when he threatened to use it as a way to ruin to ruin River. Why do I keep getting those two names confused? Instead, he still used it as a weapon. He still did. But he used it to his advantage. Crazy! And then a cliffhanger. A beautiful chef's kiss cliffhanger.
Thank you, Saint Sebastian.
She's faking it.
I'm gonna work my butt off.
Just the way that this information was introduced to us, to me as a viewer, my jaw dropped because I didn't see it coming. I really didn't. And just maybe because also there are so many things happening in this episode. There's so many moving parts to it. There's so much conflict happening that you can't think about anything outside of what's already brewing. I'm not sorry for spoiling the first episode for you, because maybe you needed just a little bit more of a push to see this. Like, I'm not calling the show in its entirety perfection because I don't know. But as far as the pilot goes, I'm intrigued. I hope you're intrigued. Also, you're welcome. And if there are any other shows or movies that you want me to check out, do it. Leave it in the comment section below. I also have I also have Instagram, I have Tumblr, I have Twitter. You can tell me there. At the end of this video, you might be thinking, if you made it here, by the way, hi, congrats. You didn't win anything, just my respect. Which is great because I can't even give that to myself, so you're welcome. Let me know at what point of the video you found that, oh my god, she's insane, and also what point of this video made you want to watch it. Tell me, and I will read it and smile.